In our second lecture, we will be continuing our selective tour of 20th century American art through the lens of individualism and community. Many observers of art history have noted a turn toward individualism in art after World War II. Very diverse and complex factors influenced this trend toward individualism and subjectivism in late 20th century American art. Some of these influences came to America through the European Surrealists. The Surrealists focused on liberating unconscious desires, fears, and creative forces in the form of highly expressive art. So what is the unconscious that the Surrealists were concerned with liberating? Psychologists Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung helped to develop this concept. According to both, the unconscious is an aspect of our minds of which we are usually unaware. This hidden part of our minds is full of repressed desires, but also full of creative potential. For Sigmund Freud, the unconscious was mainly full of childhood memories, family romance, and repressed sexual desire. His notorious theory of the family romance suggested that boys, for example, carried on a sustained unconscious romantic attachment with their mothers. The way they worked through this problem, termed by him the Oedipal complex, was a major factor in how we develop as humans. For Carl Jung, the unconscious mind was less sinister in character. Jung saw our minds as being guided unconsciously by ancient patterns that help us to process and define our world. For example, young boys are likely to identify with the traditional hero of mythological stories and see themselves as invincible champions of chivalry. This identification with the hero archetype can lead to some noble actions, but unchecked, it could also lead to disastrous overestimation of our own power and goodness. If our unconscious mind is full of such questionable and even disturbing material, why would we want to liberate our unconscious minds? A widely influential theory at the time suggested that it was necessary to bring our unconscious minds to light in order to be psychologically healthy and to find the true source of our creativity. Carl Jung went so far as suggesting that wars, like World War II, might be stopped if we became more psychologically conscious. If world leaders and individuals alike were aware of these unconscious influences, the potential influences of the unconscious could be mitigated. If we do not liberate the unconscious, it will express itself in illness, wars, and abuse of others. I hope you can easily see why this project liberating the unconscious is individualistic. My unconscious is only in me, and I can only find it through intense introspection. In the post-war era, many surrealists, such as Max Ernst, emigrated to America, importing their ideas. Those ideas strongly influenced abstract expressionism in America. One can see strong Freudian influences in this work by Max Ernst entitled Oedipus Rex. The Freudian theme is clear in the title. A close look at the image also shows an abundance of hidden sexual symbolism. The birds with the devilish horns and binding strings are a reference to a childhood experience of Ernst. As a child, he had become convinced that his sister's birth was connected with the death of a bird. But what is meant by the term abstract expressionism? Expressionism refers to a style of art that promotes the emotions and mental states of the author. Art that is abstract focuses on aspects such as form, shape, and color, rather than on accurate representation of objects. This work of art by American immigrant Arshil Gorky shows many of these themes. We see the seemingly violent, dreamlike imagery pulled from Gorky's unconscious mind and expressed thematically in a way that form and symbol dominate over clear depiction of actual objects. Perhaps the most famous American abstract expressionist was Jackson Pollock. This early work, Guardians of the Secret, was created in a time when Pollock was exploring the ideas of Carl Jung. Looking closely, you will see symbolic images such as dogs, the rooster, and the skeleton, but the overall lines and shapes still dominate as the expressive elements. When Pollock was exploring deep within his unconscious mind with such works, he was quoted as saying, "Painting is a state of being. Painting is self-discovery. Every good artist paints what he is." As abstract expressionism developed, artists began to feel that overt symbolism of any kind, even the shadowy depictions found in Pollock's Guardians of the Secret, was too overt and stereotyped to truly represent the creative spontaneity of the unconscious mind. As a result, pure abstractionism became the preferred method of examining one's mental state. This later work of Jackson Pollock, entitled Lavender Mist, shows how pure abstractionism can be used to communicate the mental experience of the creative artist. The notion of artist as self-expressive genius encouraged individualism in other ways as well. Pollock became a popular celebrity as he cultivated his individualistic persona. This cultivation of celebrity persona was taken even farther by artist Andy Warhol. Warhol and his factory workers created a branded image for the artist. His eccentric personality became as important as his art. But Warhol's work was not just about individualism. Much of his work was created as collaborations, working with diverse individuals in his self-styled factory. This trend toward individualism and expressionism continued into the 1960s. Here we see artist Alan Capro creating art in the moment with his performance of Chicken. He wears a dead chicken on his chest and makes loud rooster noises. Only he knows the meaning expressed by his deep inner creative urges. Some artists also poked fun at this tendency of artists to find deep meaning in portraying their inner experiences for the sake of an admiring public. A good example of this is this installation by Robert Morris from 1963. In his eye box, he stood in a large box with a door in the shape of an eye. Upon opening the door of the eye box, the viewer would find just that, Robert Morris, as open and essential as he could possibly be. The implicit message is that there should be more to art than simply showing off our hidden inner selves to others. This is where our tour of American art through the lens of individualism and the community will end, but I will be looking to you to continue this discussion for us. Questions about the appropriate relationship to individualism and community continue to be relevant as we observe modern artistic trends, from graffiti art to American Idol. I will ask you to explore these themes and current artistic trends in the assignments for this module.